Welcome back to Homeopathy at Home with Melissa. Hey, Melissa.
Hey, Bree, it's great to see you.
Always good to be here. It's been a little bit since we recorded,
Yep,
so this is fun.
yep.
Um, Tonight we are following up with we were calling it Summer Encouragement Series, I think,
We were summer?
or just encouragement. Maybe we threw out calling it summer because we started in the summer, but it's not summer anymore.
Right.
So this is just the encouragement series. We're working through some points that I had gone over at the retreat, which we've been talking about and planning for next year. So if you're listening to this, I think it'll be January, February. There's still plenty of time.
Yeah.
Um, May 2025. It was such a good time last year. I can't wait. And this is some stuff we talked about. So do you want to say anything before I just go ahead?
Are you gonna recap the
Yeah.
first just okay, perfect. Nope, that's good. Go for it.
Okay. So I will recap just basic outline of what we touched on the first five, but you can go back and listen or watch on YouTube or however you prefer the other 5 points, and they don't really build on each other. So you could listen in any order you want. But I want to preface with saying this is not at all to equate homeopathy with biblical standards or truth or the Lord or anything. This series to me was how God has used homeopathy, just like anything else in my life, to show me himself and show me some spiritual truth or just remind me of some of these. So for me, these have been very encouraging as I'm using remedies for my family and remembering what true healing looks like. All of these points came to mind and I was just jotting them down. So hopefully they're encouraging to you guys. Number one was healing comes from the inside out. And in the same way, our spiritual growth is about internal heart change, not just external. Number two, stimulating the body's healing takes time. And the way homeopathy stimulates the body to do that doesn't always look linear. And so, in the same way, our spiritual lives can feel that same way, where you don't maybe feel like you're making a lot of linear forward motion or growth. Number three was everyone has their unique healing journey in homeopathy. And in the same way, our spiritual journeys are unique. Number four, it's really important to celebrate the small victories and recognize those along the way. Um, and in the same way, that we can see that in our spiritual walk and how important it is to have those, stones of remembrance to remind us of how God has been faithful and that it's going to just keep going. Five was that we are investing in our future physical health with homeopathy, but also investing now. Like when you think of investment, you're doing something now, you're paying now for something that will come to fruition later. And that's exactly what happens when we are disciplined in our spiritual life and Bible study, prayer, being with other believers. So number six um, is about patience and making wise decisions. So my thinking here was how in class, Melissa, you're always reminding us to be patient with remedies, give them time in acute situations, at least 24 hours, and be wise in your remedy choice so that you are giving it a good opportunity to work. So then you wait your 24 hours, see how you do. In chronic conditions, it's long. That phone call you have with clients before is a lot about that, like just being prepared for, I mean, this is not a quick fix. And in a world where, especially in Western culture, we are used to quick things all around. I mean, so when it comes to physical healing, pharmaceuticals, I mean, they don't really, but we feel better for a little while quickly. And um, so similarly in our spiritual lives, decisions that we make in haste or decisions we make in anxiety are often not wise. And it makes me think of the times I have been the mom, like my kids are sick, and I'm picking a different remedy every 30 minutes because I'm, first of all, anxious and I'm just moving quickly. I don't feel like I have time and I'm jumping around to every remedy. And then I go to Melissa and I'm like, I've used these 12. What should I do now? And so there was just not, there wasn't a time for that I would sit and take a second. I now have learned, like, I ask God, like, give me wisdom in choosing to care, whatever remedies to care for my family, so that I can make a better choice. And spiritually speaking, taking the time to seek God's wisdom and guidance from the Lord and wise counsel leads to not only peace in our spirit, but more fruitful outcomes. Um, we have really great mentors in our marriage, in our life, who are also in ministry, so that's been really encouraging. They told us one time when we were just had a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety, their counsel to us was, you're going to have to wait either way. Wait for whatever is next. Wait for this outcome. So you can either choose to wait patiently and make that decision in wisdom, or you can just make a decision to get rid of your anxiety. And that has sat with me since then, because how many decisions do we make to just not be anxious? We're not making a decision to be wise. We're just making a decision to not feel anxiety about not doing anything, but they're not well thought out all the time. So with homeopathy, we have resources to do that well. We have protocols. Somebody's already done the work for us. You just do the protocol. We have other homeopaths who are more seasoned. Melissa in my life. I mean, why don't I? Now I do. But for some time, I would try to just spin my wheels in my anxiety and not just text her and say, will you tell me what to do? Or help me. Um, we have books, the repertory, the materia medica. We even have like Google these days. Might be a little censored, but you can find something to work with. And these are things, Melissa, that you do. I mean, you spend hours teaching your students how to do this well. And we also, spiritually speaking, are we have resources for our spiritual growth in the same way. So we just need to use them. Um, Ask God for wisdom, seek wise counsel, be patient, don't be hasty. You may end up with the same decision, but you will have made it well and in wisdom and in peace. So to wrap all that up, I have a few scripture references, and then Melissa, I'd love to hear any thoughts you have. I know you have to have some. James 1:5 says, if any of you lacks wisdom, you should ask God, who gives generously to all without finding fault, and it will be given to you. Proverbs 14:15, the simple believe anything, but the prudent give thought to their steps. And then Proverbs 12:25, anxiety in a man's heart weighs him down, but a good word makes him glad. So I'm sure we could unpack that a lot, but that's what I got.
Thank you for that. I love it. You know what? Patience is such, oh, it sounds so whatever, but it really is a virtue. I mean, it really is something that you cultivate. We're not born patient.
Right?
And then we live in a microwave society that has taught us that everything needs to be right now, right now, right now. I can get gratification right now. I can go to my phone and order whatever I want, and it can be here tomorrow.
Mhm.
And so we really, as a society, have to learn how to be patient again. Um, but also as people, I don't think we're just naturally good at being patient. I mean, I know we're not. There's so
Right.
much in the Bible about patience, so much. And not just patience, and like the scriptures that you quoted and other scriptures that are telling you to be patient, but also, what I thought of is, Do not despise small beginnings. And Zechariah, I believe it's Zechariah 4:10. So, I mean, that's true in all kinds of things, but that requires patience in your life and including in homeopathy.
Right.
When
I
you start,
even I
go ahead.
wonder, I see it even in more of the natural realm. We even do that, right? Like we think we're better, not we I don't like to say it, that was bad terminology, but we feel better about our decisions because they're not pharmaceuticals, which is not untrue. But I do think a lot of our decisions can still be we come to them similarly, or we approach it the same way, where I'm just observing, and as I go to the store more over the past few years, on one hand, it's a beautiful thing that we're seeing all these great homeopathic combinations and remedies, like they're all coming up for stuff. But I also do think there is some of that perpetuation of, if we combine a bunch of stuff, we're going to see things work faster or better, or we're going to do a bunch of different things at once because we're going to speed up the process. I do that. I mean, I even do this. So I'm not trying to give
Exactly.
anybody a hard time, but
Yep.
we like slow, as much as we try, we slowly fall back into,
Yeah.
it's not going to hurt. We can just go a little faster.
Yeah. Well, I've done it too, especially with pain. So I would say I'm probably the biggest baby on earth with when it comes to pain. I will not tolerate it. I won't, I mean, pain is like
Yeah.
the absolute big fat no. And so, I have done that, combined 4 or 5 different remedies too, because I was like, no, I cannot do this pain. But I will say I am very patient in a cold cough flu. I'll
Hmm.
take one remedy and I'll wait.
Well, okay, let me ask you this, because I wonder, like, we can still end up at the same place with two different hearts. So let's say, are you throwing five remedies at it because you're like, I am desperate, which maybe, like, I'm desperate for this pain to go away, and these are all the pain ones I can think of. Or I know there are times I've thought through pain or something and thought, okay, Symphytum does this, Hypericum does this, where you might still have five, but they're on purpose, not because you're throwing a cocktail at it out of anxiety.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just thinking about my most recent experience, right? It wasn't out of anxiety that I took five. I think it was like five. It was literally because they were on you. They were all really good for the different. I mean, it was an ankle, so it was bone, tendon, joint,
Right.
all the things that and and I was a little bit desperate because it was 10 out of 10 pain. I was like, this is worse than labor because there was no break. It didn't
Yeah.
stop, you know.
Yeah.
So I see what you're saying. So, but with cold cough flu, I get that a lot with acute consultations where they'll say, we're taking, or I'll tell them take Hepersulf, and they're like, that's it. Yep,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
all you need. And it's
Hmm.
hard if they feel like they're not doing enough. I get it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just so it's very, I mean, I can get really philosophical thinking, why do we make the decisions we make? And even counseling, like I remember counseling young girls in high school and or in college, um, as they're navigating like dating. And of course, I'm on the outside, like, no, break up with him. Like, what are you even thinking? But also, my heart was to walk them through godly decision making and wisdom. And here's how you can present that. And here's how you can work through a decision using the word of God and what God has already said. And then what wise people in your life are saying. And because that's what's going to stay as they move forward. So what if they break up with the boyfriend, but to have no conviction behind it, or no growth, or they haven't learned how to have come to that? So I see that, and I feel like I have seen that transformation in myself with remedies from repetition. I mean, just sitting in classes for 5 years, like becoming more and more confident in how to do that. It's second nature now to think through it in a more clear-minded way to come to a good decision. And it brings a lot of peace. Like I don't have that anxiety like I used to. Sometimes with headaches are mine.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I haven't, Probably because I didn't get them until recently. I'm a
Yeah.
big
Well, I
baby.
didn't either. I never had headaches until in my 30s, ever. I remember my mom, my grandmother, and I was like, what's wrong with
Mhm.
y'all? I
Me
don't get
too.
headaches. And then in my 30s, I started getting headaches. And yeah, I mean, that's big fat. I mean, it's pain, but also you can't think.
No,
What? It's
I
terrible.
don't know how people live with these for you. Like I have so much more compassion on people who have chronic,
Yep.
yeah,
Well, so
headaches.
that's what I wanted to say next was when you're dealing with the chronic, so really talking about patience, man,
Yep.
talk about patience. So if you look, if I look back over my hormone health and gut health journey, it has been a slow back and forth. Um, I got really good, and because I had avoided gluten for so long, I went a little bit crazy and I ate all the things I had missed. And it was just a bad idea. I mean, obviously, if you go back to eating the junky stuff, you're going to get back in the same situation that you were in before.
Right.
Hopefully, I
And
didn't get that bad again. I
yeah,
mean, it didn't go all the way back, but yeah, I started having symptoms again. I was like, okay, rein it in. We need to have, homemade or locally made sourdough with some real butter, and it's going to be good. And I'm not
yeah,
going to have trouble with some healthy choices. Um, but, healing any part of your body that's a chronic condition absolutely takes patience. And everybody comes into this saying, oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I've got patience and I've had this for a long time, so I can be patient. But then once they get into it, no, not right away. Most people are patient, but some people really they think they're patient, but they're really not, and they let go and they quit or they change too fast.
yeah, right. Yeah, it's not easy, but I mean, I guess that kind of does go back to some of the other points. The investment pays off. Celebrate the little stuff. Like all that whole process is worth it in so many things in life. I really think like homeopathy has just done so many wonderful things. Like this journey into this world has helped my perspective on life so much more. I'm so thankful. I'm so thankful that that challenge is always there, but then I see it also work. And that's what I mean, it keeps me going. Like I see it do crazy stuff that I mean, a lot of people are expecting to never heal from, and it's amazing. So, I mean, that can even be a whole spiritual thing, right? Like these things we think we carry and we live with for years and years and years, and you can walk free of those. So, I mean, maybe that's another point. I don't know. Maybe I get there later, but that's a whole other one.
Yeah. Um, so every time I do a free 15-minute phone call, I talk about patience. And so it's something to cultivate. And so how do you do that? If right now you would say, I'm not a patient person at all, how do you become patient? What does that even look like? I mean,
Well,
I had to walk into patience. I wasn't always patient.
okay. Well, and this probably connects to another point too. I would say before it is a practice in your life, you absolutely need a community of some type to hold you accountable to that, to remind you. Um, because I don't believe that you can do that as well completely on your own. And also like set up um I don't know the right term, like set up markers for yourself. Like I think of committing to I'm just as far as homeopathy goes, let's not even talk spiritual. Um Sitting in class over and over and over and over. Like it's not that I'm just going to the class, but the terminology, the learning things when I feel like it's you think you know enough already or I never am going to understand this. I remember feeling that way. Like I just never going to feel totally confident. I would just do the thing. You just commit to continuing to put yourself in positions where you're learning, where you're hearing the things again, and then have people, if one or two, I mean, I had you were literally the only one who was regularly in my life using homeopathy, who would just remind me all the time the same words and like, feel with me. You can relate to, yeah, this is not easy and still be patient. Do it. So
That's
I
a
don't know. What
really
would you
good,
say?
that's a really good point. That to be gentle with yourself. Okay, so think about if your friend or your family member or somebody at church or a neighbor were to be trying to learn something and they messed up or they made a mistake or they went backwards or they just didn't they didn't do it well while they were learning. And so if you think about what you would say to them, you would encourage them. Oh, it's okay. Keep going. You can, you know what? It's, whatever the way you encourage people, encourage yourself that way too. Don't beat
That is
yourself
good.
up. That
Yep.
gets you nowhere.
Hmm. Yeah, that's really good. And I think of you, I look at just what I know of your life. Um, you are really good at the choice. Like, I'm going to choose patience.
That's true.
I'm going to choose joy. I'm going to choose whatever. And I mean, I sit here like, I hope one day I'm good at choosing like I maybe it just comes with time and wisdom, but it does encourage me. So thank you for that. Maybe have other people in your life who are better at it than you, who you can,
Well,
be encouraged by that.
yeah, I think I just learned the hard way that not choosing or choosing the opposite was getting me nowhere.
It
And
doesn't make it go faster or better. You just can do it really impatiently or do it patiently and end up in the same place.
right. You get tired of feeling the way you feel and you do something
Yeah.
about it. Hmm.
Yeah.
Love
That's
it.
good.
Great conversation.
Yeah, this is so
Yeah.
good.
Patience
Um,
is it's just high on my encouragement list that I like to encourage people in.
yeah, I mean, you are very good at it. So it's impacted me. Um, and I know you do talk about that a lot in different courses that you teach, just that reminder in life and in homeopathy. We have four more points that we'll cover over time.
Yep.
So stick around. We'll keep going. Um, we might get a little, no, I don't think they're going to get too repetitive. We'll just keep building on those things. Thank you for letting me
Sounds
share
good.
these, for being
Thank
here.
you. Thank you for sharing. And you guys, I hope you'll come to the next retreat. Have a great night.